Today I want to talk about hiding in the Lord's presence, or hiding in the presence of the Lord. And I'm reading from the Psalms 27 verse 4 and 5 from the Amplified Bible Classic. One thing have I asked of the Lord, that I will seek, inquire for, and insistently require, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord, in his presence, all the days of my life, to behold and gaze upon the beauty, the sweetness, or the sweet attractiveness and the delightful loveliness of the Lord, and to meditate, consider, and inquire in his temple. For in the day of trouble he will hide me in his shelter, in the secret place of his tent will he hide me, he will set me high upon a rock. Notice this, for in the day of trouble he will hide me in his shelter. And I'm talking about hiding in the presence of the Lord. And I tell you, that's the best thing to do when you're going through trouble. We all know the song, "What a wonderful Savior, Jesus my Lord. What a wonderful Savior to me. He hideth my soul in the cleft of the rock." Right? It says, it goes on to say, "For rivers of pleasure I see," if I remember right. You know, Psalms 27 verse 4, it says, one thing. Now, thing is not in the original. As a matter of fact, if you look in the King James Bible, it's italicized. Whenever you see something italicized in the King James Bible, it means it's not there. So one, and it goes on, that will I seek. So he's not saying one thing out of many things. He's saying there's no choice here. It's him, nothing else. That's what he's saying in the Hebrew. And then, we read in James 4:8, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. I'm talking about, hiding in the Lord's presence, and I'll get to the point in a minute here. In Psalms 37 verse 4 it says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and it will give thee the desires of thine heart. Now, in Matthew 5:6, it says, well, I know this by heart, but I'll read it anyway. Blessed are those who are hungering and thirsting, for they shall be filled or satisfied. In the Greek, it means who are hungering and thirsting. And this word thirst here is, let me paint a picture here. In the Arizona desert, right, you have a bottle of a skin of water or a bottle of water container, and it goes dry and you get thirsty. I remember one time when I was fishing. I was pretty young back then. I was about 14 years old. I was in a little boat and I was fishing. It was hot. I got so thirsty that I took a big jug of water and I kept drinking, and I had to drink a long time before I was satisfied. And that's the idea of this word hungering and thirsting. And I want to tell you a story. Let me finish this way. There's a lady, her name was called Sarah Bretnock. She sold 7 million copies of a book almost overnight, kind of a thing. It was called Simple Abundance. And you know what? She was #1 bestseller for almost a year. Every week she would get a call, you're number one. But one morning on a Wednesday, she never got a call. She called her boss, whoever it was, and he says, no. He said, you're not #1 anymore. And she said to herself, I'm not #1, I'm #2. And you know what? That's where, when we don't realize how much we need God, how much we need to hide in his presence, when we don't, we don't realize that we're #2 and he's #1. #1 we seek after. Not one thing out of many, but there's no choice. I want to admonish you today is, you know what? The best place to be when you're going through situations and problems, and even if you're not going through situations and problems, even if life is good for you, always to be in the presence of the Lord. It is, Paul said that I may know him and the power of his resurrection. I pray today that through being in the presence of the Lord, that you will get to know him more as your friend and as your God.